So we have with us Mr. Ananan Flo, and I would like you to introduce yourself to our audience here.
Thank you. My name is Ananan Flo. I'm the Consul General of Norway here in Mumbai.
So how's the conference going for you so far?
The conference is going really very well. I think it's first of all, the Norwegian government and the Consul General here in Mumbai is the platinum supporter of Maritime SheEO, and we've been that since the very inception. And we are very proud to be supporting Maritime SheEO, and believe this is an incredibly important topic and issue to support.
So if I have to ask you, if you can define diversity and its importance in like just 2 lines, if you can reflect something on that.
Well, diversity is actually about that you make sure that all sections of a society is represented, but very often it is about men and women, and of course a main issue here in this conference is gender equality, and how do we bring in more women into the maritime sector and so on, and maritime and inclusion is very often about women and men, and certainly we see that we have come too short when it comes to being inclusive in the maritime sector. That's still one of the sectors where men are dominating, and that's something we have to do something about.
So when we are talking about diversity, does it mean equal opportunity, or we have to focus on equitable opportunities for women? In the sense, we always have this conversation around that women should be given the exact same kind of opportunities, but again, men and women, they cannot be at the same level at the same time because both are of different nature. So equity is very important in this aspect. And do you think that in maritime sector or logistics and supply chain, that factor is present, the factor of equity for women?
Yeah, I think it is present. Well, I don't think that there's it's equity is about it is about equal opportunities. It's also about equality at the workplace. I don't see necessarily that there should be any different treatment for men and women.
Yeah.
Certainly you have to when it comes to equity, it's also about accepting that people are different and have different needs, so you have to adapt at the workplace. But it's not to suggest that there's some things that men can do that women cannot do. Women can do anything, of course. So that's the sort of discrimination which often is there. I also do think that where we see that there's also discrimination when it comes to salaries and so on, that there are also salary gaps. So one thing is to get a job, but you will get a job which is equally paid as men. So that's also where there are some gaps that have to be closed.
Where do you feel are the major gaps today in the maritime sector or the logistics and supply chain sector, where women are still, they are still lagging behind because the framework, the ecosystem is not built? Do you feel there are some gaps?
Well, I come from Norway. I do think that we have actually been able to close many gaps. Women have broken many glass ceilings. They have reached very, very far in being part of the workforce. And actually the biggest contribution to the GDP in Norway is actually that the women enter the workforce.
Correct.
We see that women are dominating when it comes to higher education and so on. And that women have made their way very, very far into the economic sphere, I should say. But then we realized that there's some areas where there still are gaps, and there's still some old bastions that are still male-dominated, and the maritime sector is one of them. And that's where we still see very active, government agendas to try to push for closing this gap. In the maritime sector in Norway, there's about a bit more than 20% women. In the shipping alone, if you look at the shipping sector within the maritime, it's only 11%. So we have really a way to go in Norway as well. We also do see that even within sectors where we now have more equality when it comes to men and women, we still see that sometimes women are not making the same, has the same wage as men. So that's also where we have some gaps.
So what is the responsibility of the top management of any maritime sector company or the logistics and supply chain company? How can they influence the the industry as a whole to become more inclusive towards women and give equal kind of opportunities, because oftentimes we see that the big decisions that the top management takes may or may not fall in favor of the women because of different societal pressures and everything. So where do you think these gaps are, and whether the top management has that kind of responsibility to actually influence the waves in the maritime sector?
I think top management has a big responsibility, and certainly there are glass ceilings still to be broken when it comes to women stepping all the way up in many countries and in some sectors, stepping all the way up and becoming the top leadership. I think the management has a responsibility to make sure that they have an inclusive and diverse workforce. So boards, for example, boards of companies have to make sure that the women are employed, and not only employed, that they reach also to the very, very top. There's certainly no basis to say that women shouldn't be able to reach to the top, and there's certain jobs that it should be. So I think there's some cultural, still some, or many reasons, but cultural reasons very often are preventing women from reaching all the way. Prejudice and culture. And I would like to say that in Norway, there's a requirement in government boards that there should be a minimum of 40% women. That's a legal requirement. And now this is being extended to also include private companies, so that the government has been negotiating with the actors in the private sector, so that you can have the same introduced also in private companies. There should be a minimum of 40% women in the boards. And with more women coming to higher positions, they will recruit more women. You will see that they will lift up all other women as well.
So if you have to compare India and Norway, where do you think that India is lacking? And what are those areas where India has a massive scope to actually diversify, expand, and take the reins in its hands?
I think that we have come in general, if you have a sort of one sweeping look at it, I think Norway has come further when it comes to inclusion and gender equality than India. But I also do see examples in India that women are really, coming through, and sort of gradually things are getting better. Glass ceilings are being broken in the maritime sector, in aviation, everywhere. So you can easily find examples of women who have really made it to the top. And India has had a female prime minister and so on. So there are glass ceilings that have been broken. But I still think that women has a way to go. There's a lot of prejudice. There's a lot of conservative, perspectives on women. So I still think that India has a way to go and to empower women. And we also see that also from schooling. While in school in Norway, universities, women are dominating, you still see in India that women are not. You have a majority of men going all the way through. So it has to start also with education and to empower women, and to give them the opportunities and to equip them to realize their dreams, basically.
So, a lot, you spoke about the education part here. It is very important that awareness is created, because we have so many, I have been speaking with so many people today, and it's the same thing that yes, after their school and college, they either pick up one kind of industry like engineering or aviation or anything, but they are very reluctant to step into the maritime sector. That is more also because nothing much is asked or told about it during the 14 years of schooling, right? So do you think it's now time that it should also be a part of the academics in the growing up years, so that people know that there are so many other roles that women can do in the maritime sector also, not just become a pilot in the aviation sector?
Yeah, it has to start there. I think throughout education, I think it is very important that the girls and the women are informed about opportunities, and that the message is that there is nothing to prevent you from becoming whatever you want. And there are no things that you can't do as good as a man. And so I do think that we have to talk about the opportunities, the wonderful opportunities in the maritime sector to girls and women before they are considering, which direction they will take. so that more women will actually come to the maritime education institutions and will continue to have a career there. It's absolutely important. So it's not only about taking the women who are there at the maritime education and give them jobs in maritime. We have to have more in. And this sector is a sector which has been lagging behind and still is very much lagging behind in India. So, and men has a role to play to tell the girls, I mean, you know, you can become whatever you want. And still many women in India facing, there's a lot of expectations put on them. And there are also limitations put on them. The expectations to what they will study, what they can become, the expectations when it comes to marriage, you know, their role in the house, their role in the family, quite conservative view on how a family should look like, you know, and that's something where we have to liberate the women as well, and give the women that freedom to actually make their own choices and to pursue their dreams and aspirations. So that's important. There are too many expectations put on the poor women here in India.
Because even if they are given the chance to work out, they also have to, you know, have the responsibility of the house.
They do.
Yeah.
So then
and
they will say that, but then they
naturally
can't go. And then for the maritime, then to go on a ship, it will, you know. But who's going to take care of the kids, the mothers-in-law, and all of that? You know, who's going? So this all these expectations may make it difficult for many women to choose a maritime career or to go on a ship, because the expectations relating to raising a family and the role they also have in the extended family, and that is something that has to be broken a bit, to allow more women to pursue that career.
So these conferences, what after this conference? Like so many people have come here, gathered here, talking about diversity and what they are doing in their own companies. But what are those tangible steps that are being taken after the conference? You know, I mean, you take the takeaways and then you have to implement it somewhere.
Yeah.
So where do you see these takeaways are being implemented?
I think it is for everyone, you know, to take it, you know, to make it back to their work and to really reflect upon what is being discussed here, and to see what they can do, you know, in their own workplace to promote diversity and inclusion. And then I think, of course, it is the work between the conferences that is really very important. And Maritime SheEO is very active the whole year. It's not about these conferences alone. And so it's also about the concrete activities and the concrete projects that have to be there. And I think, I mean, we are very happy to support Maritime SheEO. I think the conferences also are very important because you bring people together, you know, and you see women here are motivated by looking at other women, you know, that have made it, you know, through. You see young cadets here sitting and listening to these, you know, senior women who have really made it through, and it makes them believe that it's actually possible to reach all the way up. So that's important. The role models are really very important. And to listen from other experiences also, that is actually bringing more confidence to women, and it's you know, that they can actually reach their goals. And also men, you know, there are men in the room here, they also see this and they listen to these messages and they also reflect on it, and makes them also, you know, be more aware of this and make the right decisions. So that's important.
Thanks a lot for speaking with our channel, and it was really an insightful conversation.
Thank you so much. Thank you.